Okay, let's try this. I've never done this before, and I haven't worked out this argument, but I just keep seeing people online just saying things like violence isn't the answer. This is in regards to the shooting of the CEO of United Healthcare. Violence isn't the answer. That's just the blanket argument, right? I've even seen someone online who I follow, who I generally politically agree with, compare it to the bombing of abortion clinics and the shooting of doctors who are performing abortions. Just saying that's wrong. And we can't become that. And I get that it's an ethically complicated argument whether violence is right or wrong, but these people are not engaging with the ethics. First of all, let's just talk about this. What other choice do we have? The Democratic Party, which is supposed to be defending us, those of us who are left of center at all, right? They have done nothing but crush populist candidates who are for free healthcare for the people. They actively crushed Bernie Sanders' groundswell in 2016. They just shafted AOC so they could put an older dude who's dying of cancer in that spot, right? So we don't have any political levers. We certainly don't have the economic levers because the people with power use the means of power to stay in power, and that is the health insurance companies. So we don't have any economic levers, and we really don't have any social movements that work or function without violence, because throughout history, all pacifistic social movements have had a violent arm that gave them some juice. I don't care how far back you want to go. Let's say when Gandhi was on the march with pacifism, do you think there are not violent anti-colonial cells in India that are, whether Gandhi agrees with them or not, are adding juice to the conversation, right? Are changing things? Do you think that while Martin Luther King is preaching pacifism, that Malcolm X and the Black Power movement isn't actively, as a militant arm, adding to that conversation? And you know what's ironic about that is that as he moved towards the end of his life, Martin Luther King began to maybe think that violence was the answer, and Malcolm X began to move more to the center and think that maybe violence wasn't the answer, and they both were killed. It did not matter. It did not matter, right? It didn't matter if they preached peace for dignity or violence for dignity. I snorted. It did not matter. They were killed simply for asking to be dignified human beings in the system. It doesn't matter. If you sit here and you tell me violence isn't the answer, then again, I may have already said this. I haven't written this down or thought about this. I'm just pissed. But if you tell me violence is the answer, all I can say is it is ethically complicated, obviously, and we should have that conversation. But you are being ridiculous. You are not taking into account that violent praxis is not only the history of the 20th century, to some good and some ill, but beyond that is sometimes the only tool left to a marginalized group to fight an oppressive system. So let's have a conversation about how complicated violence is. I'm down, but don't just come at me with your, your blanket, historically unfounded violence doesn't work thing. All right. Do riots work? They do. So, okay. I don't know. Maybe I won't post this shit.